Good evening, good evening. So I'm in Tel Aviv, of course. Went to buy some groceries and cleaning material that is very needed because much was stolen from my room by probably by this guy, that broke into my room. So I'm in my way to like a supermarket or something like that, Shupersal, to buy both necessary food items, coffee, sugar, cans, and also cleaning stuff. But I thought it's a good idea here, like in the street of Tel Aviv. The hearting beat of the commercial center of Israel. Maybe it's a good place, fine place to hold the fifth chapter, probably not a long one, on the issue of the two mermaids. As I said, there is much to be said about this ceremony, because this story, while it's absolutely real in the concrete way, it can also be metaphorized in many ways. And of course, the metaphors do not exclude the, I would say, concrete and, straightforward interpretation of just, the ceremony as it was described to you. So what I would like, in the previous chapter, I try to exemplify, how ridiculous is the idea that the heroes themselves, as sentient creatures, do not care about human sacrifice, while they care about, definitely, they are sensitive to, like, sacrifice for food purposes of meat and poultry. And I've also said that, of course, this is ridiculous that rabbis, Orthodox rabbis of Jewish Orthodox rabbis in our world are fine with eating of practically humans, of cannibalism, while they care so much about kashrut of all sorts of ways. We have tremendous amount of very, very brave people all around us. Very soon all the braves will have the worms, the train in tremendous amount in their brain. As I've said many times, what we need is people with arms and legs, not mouths and tongues. Our enemies are the mouth movers and the tongue movers. We're required to be rescued from the Nazi prison, me and my daughters, and this should be done by people that have chosen life over ego. And the only way to demonstrably choose life is to stop any kind of movement of mouth and tongue. Only the arm and the leg should be moved. Get me and my daughters out of the Nazi prison with the mouth closed. Anyway, this kind of, I wouldn't even call it hypocrisy, it's just monstrosity. That, the same people presumably have problems with kashrut of, all sorts of, minute details of kashrut, but they don't care about cannibalism. But in this video, very short video, I would like to say that the same thing mostly is applied to everybody in the intelligence services of this world. Certainly those that know about the Venusians or the Titans, because they are not much better than these Orthodox rabbis. It should be said, the change, the transformation to the mermaid could be metaphorized to the change of sex from female to male. What I call the creation of the wizards, that is done mostly while the creatures are still in Venus, even though it can be done here in the Earth as well. And this tremendously shortened their lifespan. Now, to be fair, this kind of institution, yes, it was created before the Zionists, first started their exploitation of Venus. In the beginning of this kind of inquiry, I thought that this was something that the Israelis introduced to Venus, because I'm so much against the Israelis. So I thought that everything that is bad in there, naturally was presented by the Israelis. But to be honest, it's not truth. It's not the truth. Reality is more complicated than that. This was actually an establishment, or some things that they do in Venus, even probably thousands of years ago. Certainly hundreds of years ago, but probably thousands of years ago. And it was not invented by any Israeli. And even before the Israelis, the first Zionists ever set foot in there, it was common for the wizard to choose the face that you see now in front of you. And this was discussed in many other videos, this peculiarity, or this kind of like I would say a bizarre detail that something that should be explained. And I've spoken like in the past about like all sorts of explanation that was suggested in the past, but they are probably non-true. And I also suggested other explanation. To be honest, I don't know what's the true explanation. I do know that the fact that I was born here in Earth with this face specifically, this is of course an act of God. And it was done in order for me to suffer and to live life of humiliation, but also to be able to understand to learn many things that I was unable to learn in any other way. And most of all, the extent of the cruelty of the Israelis. But all of this is discussed in other videos. What I would like to point now is that this kind of transformation is not much better than the transformation to mermaid, because what's happening, yes, it's done in Venus as well, and it's done because people sometimes in Venus they feel that they have no other option, and I don't want to judge it now, because it's a problem of the society that they don't have enough males, and sometimes they are hungry. They don't have assets. Like sometimes it's female societies that fight each other, and they don't even they are in a very between the rock and the saddle. They have very little options. So I don't want too much to judge it. I would just say that again, just like the mermaid thing, the fact that the people in Venus that are doing it, it doesn't mean that you can encourage them to do it and more so to do it in order for the people of Earth to enjoy from it. This is absurd. The same kind of argumentation. Yes, they are a Paleolithic society and they have all sorts of problems, and sometimes they do horrible stuff to each other, but this does not allow people of the Earth to do the same to them. And that's exactly what happens by the Israelis and with the encouragement of other people all around the world for a long, long time now, which means encourage people over there to change their sex to males, and then to go to Earth. And when they are in Earth, their lifespan is very, very short. Now, it should be said that even in Venus, their lifespan is much shorter. When a creature, when the female is transformed to male, becomes a wizard in my terminology, her lifespan is tremendously shortened. Like maybe she could have lived, potentially 400 years or I don't know, something like that. And then mostly the lifespan become much, much shorter. But those that actually go to Earth, they have a very cruel fate and very short. And I know very well how people treat them, because that's how they treat me. I just need to walk the streets of any kind of city, certainly Tel Aviv, but other cities as well, and to know exactly. This is very personal to me, because naturally everybody thinks that I'm one of them. So I know what they do to them, like what they try to do to them. But of course, it's not the same biology. Their lifespan is considerably shortened because they stop produce the T, and also because they are infected with the bacteria. And you know very well that after some time, the creature who is infected with this bacteria is dead or needs to cut himself. In any case, the fate is very, very cruel. And the people that take place in this cruel fate is, unfortunately, both like the homosexuals and the pedophiles that are part of the intelligence sectors of this world, but also the titans. Because the titan females, mostly, from their perspective, long ago they've learned that, it's not allowed for them to have sex with Homo sapienses. This was established long ago. So they already know that. And I must say that the 20th century, it wasn't always like 100%. It's not like it wasn't kept like 100%. But actually, in the last generation, it's even like it's people observed it more than before. Even this is like something that characterizes like the post-Soviet era, what I call the post-Soviet era, which coincides mostly with my own life, which is like since the late 80s until now. That sex between Homo sapiens and titans, Homo sapiens males and titan females, is something that is incredibly rare. I mean, factually, it doesn't happen. Now, during the 20th century, it also was, I mean, it didn't happen a lot because people understood very quickly that they shouldn't do it, but it was done from time to time. It wasn't completely observed, I would say. Even though that many of them was homosexuals, but that, I mean, this is, they have their ways, but here, but there, and, oral sex and close their eyes, the imagination, I mean, like I don't need to tell you, I mean, sexual practices are something that people find all sorts of ways, like I mean, to force themselves to enjoy in all sorts of ways. But this is actually not done much in the last generation, because people now, I mean, more than before, they kind of observe, like because they understood. Maybe this is related to the widespread. I mean, the fact that AIDS was so widespread during the 80s and the 90s. And of course, AIDS was not the first STD that was common in this earth. It should be said that, I mean, Homo sapiens has dealt with STDs long before AIDS. And arguably, AIDS is not even the worst STD. Syphilis is actually probably much worse. I mean, but it depends how you evaluate it. Just to say, I mean, STDs was part of life during the 19th century, and it was certainly part of life during the Middle Ages in Europe. It's not a new thing, STDs. But yes, I mean, the prevalence of AIDS made, I mean, awareness to the concept of STD much larger than before, especially, in contrast to the safe, the free sex, movement of the 60s and the 70s. So maybe all of that kind of like encouraged people of our generation to be, not to do it. I mean, it's incredibly rare. But still, I mean, those titans, I mean, the female titans think to themselves, okay, fine, but we can do it with the wizards. So they're fine with that, even though this is incredibly cool, because how can you close your eyes to what's happening? I mean, because you have sex with these creatures, I mean, this is incentive for the Israelis to actually bring them here, and sometimes the Titans themselves brings them here. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, you cannot just, be an innocent bystander. You can't just, say, yeah, just watch, the mermaid ceremony, but I didn't actually, participate in it. Yes, but eventually, I just took, yeah, they offered me, a bite. So what? I would say no. It would be impolite to the natives. So I just took a bite. So, this is like the same thing, like, as maybe if Titan, as for Titan females to say, I don't know how this man arrived on Earth. I wasn't part of his capture. Many times they are. Many times they do. But let's say they don't. But still, they can, say, no, we don't know. Somehow, in a magical way, this person arrived on Earth, and somehow he looks like men, even though, to our understanding, they aren't like men, like, even though it's not true. But anyway, they think that they aren't, like, most of them think that they aren't like males at all. But it's absolutely not true. Just that the males, are very rare and they're smart enough, not to get into this, not to get close to, to humans in Venus. But they just say, we don't know. Yeah, he's not here. So yes, let's have sex with him. But this is blood sex, because what happens is that eventually these people, they don't have a long, shelf life in Earth. And although it should be said that they are tortured by the surrounding, and they are almost forced, like brutally forced, like to participate in homosexual sex with all sorts of like pedophiles and scumbags. And for some reason, people think that this is okay. I don't know why. For some reason, and also they are. Many times they are. People use the psychological, method to condition them to do all sorts of stuff that are illegal, and most of all to try to rape other people, like females. It took me a long time to understand what's the rationale behind it. Of course, I've never done anything like that, not even remotely. But it took me a long time to understand what's going on. This is one of the sickest, the sickest of all like aspects of the Titan subjugation. That they take these males, like the transgender, they bring them to Earth, and then they try to condition them to be rapists. Like it's so bizarre. Honestly, I don't even want to think about it. But yes, it's one of the things that this should be put on the table, because it's one of the things that people do, and maybe sometimes it's it's ending success. Like, I don't even know what's the deal here. Like, maybe the Titan females wants to like this kind of sex. I don't know. Of course, it only uses to shorten the life of the actual, the predator. That then you can be, even if police is not called. I mean, at any time it could be used against him, like to put him in jail indefinitely, which is, you know, something that the Shabak like very much. That the people, that you'll always have something hovering above you. Just to be honest, just to be clear, I've never even thought about like something to do something like that in my life. And in the last 5 years or so, or 4 years or so, I'm completely monk. Like, I don't touch females at all. Of course, I mean, no kind of sex at all, of any kind, of any sort. I'm just a monk, like a Christian monk in the last 4 years. I mean, after my marriage, there was only like one or two, you know, one night stands or so. But I mean, that's it. Like, I mean, after divorce, I mean, since 2018 or 19, it's like it's done. Like, I mean, the story is closed, as they say. Basta נסגרה. Because I understood that, I mean, it's so dangerous for me, any kind of sex. But I mean, I know that that's one of the things that they do to them, like to these wizards. They try to condition them to be rapists, and I don't even understand why. I mean, this is so sick and bizarre. In any case, their lifespan is extremely short in Earth. Extremely short. And it might be closer to the lifespan of the place that the person that is put on the altar in the fish ceremony than to the couple of years, which is the lifespan of a wizard in Venus, which is also very short and cool. This is cool in Venus as well. Should be said, this is cool. This is a cool institution in Venus as well. It's a cool institution. And no female is doing it because, I mean, she wants to be a male. It's not a thing in there, okay? They do it because, I mean, they feel pressure to that, and because they feel that they don't have any other way, and they feel immense pressure to it. They never, like, no female, like, it's not a sexual preference of any female, like, in Venus, like, to become a male and to become, like, a dildo for many other females. And it's not fun for them because their lifespan is tremendously shortened, and they know that. So, what do you think? They enjoy that? I mean, that to be like, you know, a dildo for the other females, while they know very well that, I mean, the clock is ticking for their death. It's not fun in Venus, and it's much, much less fun even in Earth, because they are alone, and they are abused without end, and they are tortured, and their lifespan is even shorter than that of Venus. And people all over this planet are fine with this establishment. They think, yeah, great, I mean, transgenders, like, you know, we also have our own transgenders, and, you know, LGBTQ, we are so, you know, we are, you know, in favor of the rainbow society, LGBTQ plus rights. I mean, so this presumably also covered Venusians, yeah. I mean, they chose for some reason to change their sex from female to male. They chose for some reason to move to Earth. And I mean, here, I mean, you know, they just, I mean, you know, they act, they do that thing. I mean, we don't force them to do nothing, but you do. You force them all the time, and I can tell you exactly how people are treating them. They treat them like garbage. They coerce them into all sorts of things, and their lifespan is tremendously short in Earth. And people all over the world are fine with that. And this is exactly, or almost exactly, the mermaid situation. Yes, I mean, maybe it's not as short as lifespan as the one that, you know, that is placed like on the altar, and it's like, you know, we have a couple of minutes to live. Yes, it's not that short much. It's not that short, but it is short. They don't live long they don't, I mean, their death, I mean, is imminent. And their life is very cool. It's even much cooler than that of, like, the comparative life of such people in Venus. And you should ask, why did they change their section in the first place? Because the fact that this was an establishment in Venus long ago doesn't mean that it's not getting more common. It is getting more common because of the things that the Israelis are doing over there. Because, I mean, there is a pressure to do so, and indirectly it's because, I mean, they are like sex stars here in Earth. So every time a female that is having sex with such a creature and thinks that it's like, you know, an innocent, you know, I don't know, escapade. No, it's not innocent at all. It is participation in the cruel model of, I mean, a helpless person that was captured like a prey in Venus and was sent here and tortured without end and subjected to very, very cruel life that inevitably will end in very, very, you know, in death very, very short while after they arrive in Earth. And people all over the world support this. Like, presumably it's nice. It's like part of the LGBTQ rainbow political acceptance, diversity, this cruelty. This mermaid on the altar, they support it as part of their LGBTQ philosophy.